Hello y'all, Satsvichi. Welcome to another video. And I'm here to say today, do not ever go back. Don't go back. Don't go back to what did not serve you. Whether it's that narcissistic abusive family, toxic family that you left that God delivered you from, or that job. Okay? Walk by faith and not by sight and believe that God will see you through. Okay? You all know that I've going through several challenges in the recent past, but my faith is not in any job or app or delivery app or in any one thing in particular. My faith and trust is in God. Okay? That this God that I serve will be able to take me from one day to the next. Okay? God has already commanded us not to worry. Don't worry about tomorrow. Okay? Because today has enough problems of its own. All right? He said that we should cast our cares upon him because he cares for us. Okay? Please leave your comments, guys. Let me know how the video resonated with you. Like the video to share it to more people. Leave your comments. And what else? Subscribe if you're new. All right. Do not go back to the very thing that God delivered you from. Okay, that is like a slap in the face of God. Don't go back to it. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter even if it looks like your whole world is crashing down on your head. Do not go back. Okay, because there's no telling if you go back to Egypt, okay, whether it's that job, like for example, I left healthcare years back, and someone left a comment, I guess based on the videos, I guess they've been watching or whatever, my recent videos, like, well, have you considered going back to healthcare? I will never go back, okay, and I'm telling this to you that if you're in a situation that might seem like a tight situation, that things seem hard or whatever, do not go back. Believe God that God will give you a vision, okay? Whatever idea that God gives you, start working on it, okay? Start using the resources that God has already put in your hands, okay? And God gave me delivery apps, all right? I um, the roadie, the one that I was using as like my large item delivery, it basically locked me out, but what did I do? I just reactivated my Instacart. Okay, so I'm gonna be doing that with the DoorDash. I'm not going back to any 9 to 5 job for the glory of God. I'm giving God the glory, okay, because it's not by power nor by might, okay, but by my spirit, said the Lord of hosts. Okay. I'm working on my business, okay, because with jobs and even apps are just companies. There's a cap. There's only so much you can make, and then they can threaten you, like Rhoda was threatening me about my return rate, even like months before, you know, that they'll this and they'll that, and it's like, but if you're able to believe God and believe the visions and believe the skills and the gifts that God has put in you and walk in those gifts, trusting God that God will show out. God has shown me how to run Facebook ads effectively, okay, for my dispatching business. I already signed on my first customer yesterday. I mean, he still has to send me like the full packet and everything, but he sent me most of the information, So I'm gonna set up his factoring company. I'm gonna, start setting him up, and I know how to run Facebook ads to get more customers, So even if I don't have any money, all I have to do is maybe make some more, go do some DoorDash and do some Instacart or whatever, and put some more money into my advertising, And once I start booking those loads, I can start sending them invoices. That is my business. How many customers can I get as much as I want? Okay. So my trust is not in the apps or anybody's 9 to 5 job. I've been there, done that. I don't care if it's healthcare. I don't care if it's aviation. I don't care if it's whatever. Okay. There's no going back to Egypt. Okay. Asking me to go back to a a profession or um, something that almost broke me, like literally had me losing my mind. It's like it's basically the same thing as saying I should go back to my narcissistic parents. Yesterday, my daughter and I were on the bus. Okay, so we took the Pace bus to go pick up the car. Okay, because I remember I told you that I had my daughter fix the car, and I told her that if she fixes it, God instructed me to give it to her. Okay, she's told me that I can use it for like about a month or two, and probably by the end of January she'll be able to pay for her insurance and switch the title. So I was like, cool, So I'll keep using it for my delivery, while I set up my structure for my business, and I'm trusting God that He will see me through as He always does. God is faithful, but to we need to trust God and walk by faith. The Bible says that we walk by faith and not by sight. Okay, so even if it seems like your world is collapsing, I told you my car broke down. Now it's working very well. The sounds are gone. Um, I told her whatever she was able to fix it for, I would just give it to her. Initially, I wanted to like charge her like maybe like a thousand or 2,000, whatever. But you know, the agreement was just fix it and I'll give it to you, because she had been using public transportation to go to school, taking the Pace bus, down the street and taking it to her community college. But um, by the grace of God, going into this next the spring semester, because I mean, pretty much um, the fall semester, is pretty much over. I think like this is like her last week. She went to go study in the library with some friends for their finals, so it's basically almost over, even for my high schoolers. But what I'm here to say is, oh yeah, right. So I didn't want to lose my train of thought. So I was on the bus with my youngest daughter, and she was like, "Mom, can I follow you to go pick up the car?" I'm like, "Sure." So I was like, "Okay, let's just go ahead and use the bus." So we got on the bus, and while we were on the bus, sitting down, she was like, she saw my older brother, and everything. She's like, "Oh, I saw my uncle. I saw, And so she was like, and she called him. And she's like, "Oh, we're on the bus." And she's like, and he's like, "Where are y'all going?" And kid, she's 16, and she's like, "We're gonna go pick up the car." I don't know what she said, and then she told him to shop, whatever, and everything. And I guess like they got off the phone, but yeah, and for the first time, like ever, for the first time ever, I was able to. Well, I actually fixed the car by myself, like on a loan before, but I had to pay back like three times the amount. Trying to pay that loan. So it's just like I've realized that I cannot be fully dependent on these apps or any job for that matter. A job or even the apps. Because an application or an app is simply a small, like a company. That's all it is. Whether it's Roadie, DoorDash, Instacart, they're a company, right? So depending on them fully is like it's still the same thing as depending on a 9 to 5. They can deactivate you, they can pause you, they can do anything, for no reason. I remember when I was doing Spark, within a week they deactivated me for no reason. Um, they said that another customer had my number, or like there was another I think what did the customer service or whatever say, they said that my number was registered with another customer or something like that. So somebody apparently broke into my account and was using my was using my phone number, and and that caused them to deactivate me. It was crazy. It was crazy, like, within a week. So um and that's another story, because it was like almost as soon as I told my ex that and he had been trying to get started with act with not Instacart, with Spark as well. And as soon as I told him that they accepted me, I could see the look on his face that I like he was not happy. Like, how come, why did they accept you and not me? And it was like within a week I was deactivated, and they said another customer. So that looked iffy, but I'm gonna leave that alone. That's besides the point. But you know, I mean, just like watch who you tell your business to, because they might not have their best interest at heart, especially if they're really close to you. I'm not talking about like testifying, because God has called us to testify. He said, right, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony. So we must testify about our journey. But I'm talking about like telling like really close family members that you felt that you felt like they had your back. Eventually, obviously, we separated and realized that he was a narcissist, and God expressed everything to me. But God has not called us to cowardice, to cower, and run back to the devil. God literally delivered me from healthcare. God literally delivered me from the narcissistic family that I was part of, you know. And I know my older brother is probably gonna run back and go tell my dad that, oh, yeah, um, uh, I saw her. I mean, I was told that they went to fix their car. How did they get the money to fix the car? You know, narcissistic families, they're like a cult. So yeah, you know, but I don't care what they say. I'm just glad that not to be in their face. I don't care. They can say whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, this is a season of a new beginning, and whenever God has declared a new beginning, a lot of things are going to be falling off. And I thought about it. I thought about the Roadie app, that I was using like as my main app, to do like large deliveries from like Home Depot and stuff. And I was thinking about it. I was like, the morning time is the time that, like, with my new business, um, that morning time is very crucial. Like from like 7 a.m., 7:30 to like 11:30, like around noon is the time that like you're booking loads, you are negotiating with brokers, talking to your clients, you're trying to get things situated, right? You're answering um, people that reach out to you. A lot of them reach out early in the morning from the app, right? Trying to see if they're going to be a good fit for the business, you know, and that's the time that, I mean, I would literally be praying, and I'll have like one of my eyes open, looking at the Roadie app to see, because they start like early in the morning, like 5:49. So like by 5:49, I'm praying, because that's when I do my prayer for about 30 minutes in the morning, and my devotion. I'm literally like looking at the app to see if there's a delivery coming up, and if it is, I'm putting in for an offer. You know, so it became like an idol. And God is not going to compete with anything, right? So when God removes something, a lot of times it's overwhelming for us, and we are, it's like, Lord, why? I was depending on this thing, this and that, but it's like, but I have better for you. And then I was thinking about it, the time that I was able to use to sign up the guy, that like have him send me his insurance, send me his MC number, and all the things that he sent me. It was right before the time that he had to go on the delivery to another state. I think he was going like from Indiana to Michigan or something. So he was like, okay, and then I can call him the next day, and then he'll send me the rest. Like he'll get a chance to fill everything and then scan it or send it to me. And I was like, wow. So if I was running around doing delivery during that time, I would not have had a chance to have, kind of get a feel and talk, get a feel of his personality, talk to him, see where he was in his business, what he wanted from my service. All that time I would have been running around doing delivery. A lot of times I leave out like 6 o'clock and don't get back to like 9:30, because I have to do one, then go to another like Home Depot location, and wait, because I know the times that they put out their deliveries, and so it's like, and those are the crucial times that I should be doing my business, so I'm letting, you know, the delivery, and the thing about it, it was like, it was never still enough, to cover up, cover. I mean, it was covering some bills, but it was still never enough, And that is like most jobs are like that. It's like a bad toxic narcissistic relationship. It's like you're just getting just enough, barely enough to skim over, but then there's all this stuff that they're stacking on you, all this walking around on eggshells, hoping and praying that you will not be discarded, and you're codependent on this thing. It's the same thing, So that's the reason why I was like, okay, you know what? The Holy Spirit just told me, well, you have other apps, you multi-app, turn back on your Instacart. There are grocery stores everywhere looking for people to, pick up their groceries. You know, Yesterday I didn't do any delivery at all. I didn't even do, not even one anything. I just worked on my business. Um, you know, try to, um, just even like him being my first customer I was bringing in, trying to make sure my business email worked correctly. I had to send him like the documents like 3 times, because um, the email that he sent me, I guess it had like driver in it, but I was sending it to like the one without the driver, but it was LLC, like So I had to like so all those things is like almost like learning to walk. I had to like send it like 3 times. So finally, he was like, "There's driver," and I'm like, "Oh, let me check my messages." And I looked at the message. I'm like, "Right." So finally, he was like, "Yeah, I got it." And he got the attachment of my sign up sheet and everything. And he was like, obviously he's going to another state or whatever, but like probably like 6 p.m. Once he's at a truck stop, he will review everything, write in what he needs to write in. And I told him that he could use Google Docs to edit like the PDF, and once he gets it, once and then he could just send it, like he could just download it, rather than like printing it out, writing it in, and then trying to scan it back to me. He could just whatever. But and he was like, oh, that he knows he could do that. I'm like, okay, that's cool, But it's just like and I was just like, okay, God says, be still and know that I am God. I could be running around, like a man, running, all over. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna chill. Downloaded the Instacart app. I haven't used it for a while, so I had to like um, resign some documents and things like that. Um, you know, do the whole selfie scan. You know how you turn your face, side to side. Do that. Rescan my driver's license. Upload my debit card because I changed the debit card that I was using before. Upload that to the app, and I was like, okay, you know, we're good to go. And there were some pretty good ones. I think I saw one like paying like $13 going like 4 miles, and it was only like pick up one item and stuff. But I just didn't feel like doing anything, you know. Even though like I was like, well, I do need to make a certain amount, but I was like, you know what? Let me just take this day, work on this my business, and everything. Talk to this guy, try to like get into the process of, so like I still need to sign him up for like a factoring company because the factoring company is the one that basically they're the ones that would pay the carrier. Okay, the carrier is the one that has like the pickup truck, not the pickup truck, the box truck or the cargo van or whatever. They're the ones that have they're the ones going from the shipper to the receiver. Um, so yeah, so I have to make sure that all that is done and in place, And so I was like, well, let me just go ahead and do that. And then I had to go and get on the bus because they called me that the car was ready and go pick up the car from. So I'm like, I ain't got time to run around doing delivery today. So let me just set up. Let me just get used to that. So I sent him and I realized that um, my professional email was working because I was like, okay, I've sent it twice and you still haven't received it. He checked the spam, he didn't receive it, and then we found out that I was sending to the wrong email. So I got that situated, and then I processed that my sign up packet, sent it to him. He said he got it and everything, but he was like, he had to be on his way to where he was going to go drop off or pick up or whatever the load and everything. So it's just like at least I gotta get used to the routine, and everything, and all of that. Get him signed up and everything. He told me that he's gonna by next year he would get He's gonna get I think right now he has I think a sprinter van. But my next year he's making sure that he's getting a what do you call it? Either a flatbed or drive van, like it's like 53, like real, like a semi, basically. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, once you have it, just just bring it on so that we can. I mean, it's still the same name and everything. So now you're gonna be signed up with several brokers and everything, so you can just pretty much just come on, right on board. So and he was happy and everything. So yeah, so it's just like it's a transition period. Just because you're going through difficulty or something breaks down and everything doesn't mean that you go back. You go back to Egypt. You go back to what God has delivered you from. Go back to a 9 to 5 for what? You know, God has shown me how to break out of stagnancy, how to break out of bondage. How to take out that cap from my life. I already know how to run ads. I already know how to do certain things. That those are skills that you have to learn, and you have to trust God that and like the little money that I make, I put that into my Facebook account. I mean, into my yeah, my the account that I use for my Facebook to run the ads and everything. Sometimes if I don't have as much, I'll like reduce the amount, maybe like to $1 a day, and then like when the money starts coming in, I put it more so I can get more people reaching out. And it's just like for a lot of people, they start businesses, but they don't know how to get customers. And if you can't get customers, you don't have a business. So I didn't know how to do that. So it's just like working from there. So now you sign up one, you learn how to get loads, you get his flow, sign up the second one, third one, and there's no cap. Once it gets to the point that it's too much for me, then I start outsourcing it. Find other people to do some of that work for a percentage, right? So that's what it is, you know. And I strongly feel that the way a lot of us chosen ones, first and foremost, we're not made for a 9 to 5. It's not a long term thing. So if you're a chosen one and you have a 9 to 5, and a lot of chosen ones are attacked in a 9 to 5, their mental health is at stake. So I know for sure that I cannot do it in a nine to five. I cannot do it. That's why I do this apps, because I'm not really, even though it's still a company, but it's still better than like a 9 to 5 where I'm dealing with coworkers, and I know I'm a lone ranger. I'm not, even when I was a nurse and I started doing home health, but it still was not because I was still dealing with the agency and all of the crap, still did not work for me, but I think the only way that you can truly break out is by doing your own thing. you know Chosen ones are not meant to be stuck. We're not meant to be capped. Okay, we're not. So there's no going back to Egypt just because you run into some little pitfalls here and there. It's to elevate you. All right, it's to trust God more and launch into your destiny. What the devil tries to use to hold you down and pull you back is what you should use as a stepping stone to say, okay, Lord, what next? Okay, what next? And run with it. Whatever idea God gives you, run with it. Use the one that He's giving you before, and you tried out that worked as a stepping foundation. The ones that didn't work, you set it to the side, and you keep on building. That is the way you skill. Okay, but going back to Egypt is like you're telling God that God, this is as far as He can take me. I can't do this anymore. You're telling God that He's not capable. Lord, this is as far as I can go. I can't do it anymore. I'm going back to Egypt. One step forward, now you're taking 50 steps back. So it might take you years to go back to where you are now, rather than just trusting God and just doing it, believing that God will see you through. Okay? And we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony. So be willing to testify and tell your story, good, bad, or ugly. It's not always going to be peaches and cake, but so what? The Bible says in this world there will be trials and tribulation. So it's going to be hard many times. But be of good courage, be of good cheer, because I have overcome. So if Christ overcame and we knew how he was spat on, they pierced a crown on his head of thorns. We have thorns here and there in our life, but they pierced a crown of thorns on his head. He was spat on and flogged several times for our sake. So why do we think that we want it rosy every time? As his chosen ones, as his disciple. How? So this is the person that died for us, and we've surrendered our lives to Him, why do we expect everything to be rosy and peaches and cream all the time? How are we His disciples if we want things to be smooth all the time? That doesn't even make sense. Okay? A servant is not greater than their master, and you're His follower, you know? So for a lot of us, we've been yoked before with narcissists, people that did not want God for us. They didn't want Christ for us. They did not want us to break out. So why? Because we're following Christ now, we're walking by faith, we're doing the right thing, and we come across hurdles and pain, we go back to the devil, we go back to the enemy. That means God said that if you, how does it say? If you like basically count the cost, okay? If you look back, you're not worthy of me. I think that's how it says it. Okay, but bottom line is that if remember the story of Lot and his wife, that she looked back, God said, "I'm burning down Sodom and Gomorrah because they do not serve me. I'm burning everything down to ashes. Okay, but I'm going to deliver you and your family." He told Lot, because Lot was a righteous man, "I'm going to deliver you and your family, but you must go and do not look back." And Lot's wife, because she couldn't deal with what the future held, she couldn't completely trust God. She looked back, and what happened to her? She turned into a pillar of salt. She was stagnant. She was not going anywhere ever again. Okay? So if we look back because of a few storms in the way, that means our faith is small. That means we really don't trust God. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and end this video, guys. Please leave your comments, like the video. Let me know how it resonated with you. Maybe you might be struggling with certain things and, be tempted to look back or go back to where God has delivered you from. Okay, let me know. Okay, let me know how it resonated with you. Do not look back. Okay, so I pray that this touches somebody and be encourages somebody that we're all going through. Okay, chosen ones all over the world, we're going through one thing or the other, but we can understand and we can know and we can be assured that God is with us and He will never leave us nor forsake us. All right. Today is Sunday. We're gonna prepare for church. I'm gonna go ahead and end the video. Like, subscribe, share, leave your comments, guys. I'm definitely inspired by your comments. And until next time, God bless. Peace.